Welcome back to the Talk to Air Hanger. This is Mike. I'm coming at you with yet another video. This time I want to talk to you about the Disney Jawa Sandcrawler, and what a surprise that this is. And I think it's a really good item. I think that Disney did a really good job. I don't know if Hasbro can do a better job, but I'm going to tell you about all the features. I've watched a couple of videos before I got it. I got mine in, and so I want to talk to you about this. But right now, I'm just really showing you kind of what my display's been looking like with a vintage one versus what it's going to look like with, well, my new one. And this is going to be in my display. I'm going to put the vintage one back on the vintage shelf. And I think that it's really a pretty good Sandcrawler. Now, I did peg this to be the next HasLab, but I think this is actually good enough that HasLab could take on something else and let Disney fill this void in collectors. But I'm going to talk about everything from the packaging, the features, the lights, the sounds, and the size, the color. So let's get right into it. Now, I say the size is pretty impressive, and everyone wants to do the comparisons, of course, with a vintage one. And I just say that right in line with the BMF, here we go. We have, you've probably seen the comparison shots. But it's just really kind of hard to just look at pictures and say, wow, it's massively bigger. I mean, it's not twice the size, but it works perfect for me too. In the shelf that I'm going to store mine, that my display is currently on, is a 9-inch shelf. This thing is slightly under 9 inches, fits that shelf perfect. This is going to work great for me. So anyway, I'm going to get on to the two biggest complaints. The two biggest complaints is that it's not to scale. And I'll admit it's not to scale. It's not as big as if it was to scale. Nothing's to scale. The BMF Falcon, the AT-AT, none of that's to scale. So, but anyway, this is probably the best thing we're going to get for a while, for Sandcrawler wise, and that's not bad. The second biggest complaint that I hear from people about this thing is the color and the paint. And I have to say that they kind of went with a sandy look to it. It's got sand glistening all over it. And I kind of didn't like it when I saw it online, the pictures. I just said, hey, I like the size of it. I'll just deal with the fact that I don't like the paint. But it's not bad, but it's not great. It doesn't look exactly like the screen, and I think the vintage one is a little too orangey. I think something right in the middle of the two colors would probably make it just right. And then the other thing, of course, the tracks. Now, this isn't to scale, but if the tracks were bigger, which is another complaint I'm hearing, and I agree with, the scene that you see with all these figures in front of it would look a little bit better. But then, of course, it would be kind of out of proportion, and just, it's tough. Because if this thing was to scale, it would be about 3 foot tall. So next, I kind of want to show you, well, they have the speaker down here, the battery compartment. But this switch here, I don't know if it's an on, off, and try. It's kind of hard to see with the way the paint is, but on, off, and try. So this thing is actually really, really cool. And it's got a lot of features I'm going to get into and show you all of them. First feature I didn't even know is when it rolls, it makes noise. And if you keep it rolling, it'll make a continuous noise. The way it does that is this bottom, right here, this wheel. So this rolling of that wheel, as long as it makes contact, so you don't want to put a little pressure here. You want to keep making it make noise as it rolls. Really cool feature. I think Hasbro, I don't know if they would have done something as good as that. I don't know if they would have gone this deep into it. Second feature I want to talk about is the elevator, and I like it. And the first thing I see people do is they touch it and they hold their finger on it. But it's just a one-touch mechanism. I thought it was like you hold your finger and it goes down however low you want it. But it's not. It's a one and done. You hit the up, put your figure in there. I think I was displaying it with this guy. Make sure he fits okay. And take your figure up there. Oh. Nope, he didn't fit. Nah. We know R2's going to fit. Let him disappear in there. That's a really cool function. And it kind of reminds me of what they did with the Falcon when that ramp goes down. And that was pretty cool. Next, I want to show you lighting features. Well, they've got 4 buttons on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this one does the lighting feature. So as I push each one, I guess we can do lighting feature for the front. And I don't know if well, it might be too bright in here, but first one does there's lights, camera action, then both. Okay, so the first touch of it lights up up here. Second one lights these, and then the third one lights them both, which is a really great look, especially when it's in the dark. Gonna be hard to get to on my shelf though, for the lighting. Now I don't know, I didn't play with it enough to know if that's going to go off automatically after time or not, which I would think it would. And yeah, I guess if you're messing with this a lot, the rolling wheel noise is going to be kind of annoying. But anyway, so the next button, I think there's 4 phrases from Jawas. Did you just say Bobby? Did y'all catch that? Anybody out there can translate that for me? These are just some more noises. So there's 2 noises on that button. This is just more sounds you're going to be getting from all the droids. And this sounds straight out of the movie. Gonk droid from the inside. Look at all the wonderful detail that they have on it, and then, you know, with the paint, and people saying that, okay, they don't like the paint color, but this is really impressive. This whole engine work and everything that they did, and it matches the paint on top. It's very impressive. The detail, the line work, it's really harkens back to the original Falcon with all the line work they did on that, and all the vintage Kenner stuff. So this is, I mean, I would say this is pretty close to Kenner quality, except the plastic feels a little thinner than what I would expect from like a Kenner product. So let's go around this thing. We're going to look on the inside here. So there is like a Build-A-Droid's little compartment. You can throw some parts in, or you can hide somebody, or store whatever. But with this being considerably bigger than the vintage one, you have twice the space in here. And the detail is really awesome. You've got this melter thing that's got going on, and it lights up, and I just think that's really cool. They didn't have to go through all the trouble to do all that. They probably could have skimped on some of these things and it was still sold just as well. I mean, these things sell out as soon as they put them up on the store. I don't know how long that'll keep going on, that they'll keep putting them up and they sell out eventually. Everyone that really, really wants it will have it, and then people will wait. So I don't know. But just if you look up here, you can store a figure up here. Probably a Jawa would look great, and just some really great stuff going on. All right, there's just populating it. You can see back here. Maybe you can't see. There's a Jawa back there. There's a few figures just kind of thrown in there. Look how much space there is. I mean, you're looking at a 3/4 inch figure, and there's a lot of room in there. In fact, you could probably throw some 6-inch figures in there. Next, I want to show you how this comes down. Now, they had this in the original, well, not the original, in Attack of the Clones. Now, Anakin was looking for his mom or whatever, and this is how they depicted with this door down. And so that was like the first time I guess we really saw that door in the movies down. And then, really haven't talked about the figures yet, but this piece here kind of clips into the head of the figure, and I've seen multiple different things that people like to do, but you know, there's the head of the figure, or you can have just the figure. But so there's a hole in the head, and then there's a clear thing so it sticks in there. So all the Build-A-Droids from Disney, the Disney Build-A-Droids, they have this hole in their head, so you can put pretty much anything in there. And it's retractable. Now, there's no electronics associated with this. There's no sound with that, aside from, of course, rolling this. It's all just mechanical, but it's really cool. You get some line work on the inside here, and a great color on the inside of that. Next, I'm going to show you this top piece here. Now, these lights are the ones that light up. So when they light the cockpit up, they're lighting that up. This is the droid, or not droid, the Jawa that comes with it. But there's some little bit of detail. There's not a whole lot of detail in here, but they've got these stickers already applied, and it looks pretty good. I think that, you know, it's, what do you expect out of this? And it's a little bit more than what came with the vintage one. The vintage one's wanting to stay up on its own. So there's the vintage one, kind of what it looks like on the inside. And this is the one I like to mess with the most because it's kind of missing a couple of parts here and there. It's not a big deal. So if you can do a comparison to, so it's like a different shape, and but you could fit like 4 figures up here. I think you could squeeze 4 in here if you wanted to. So it just feels like a tighter space because it doesn't go back as far. But I think it has to do with the styling being a little bit more, I don't know, screen accurate in the shape and the style of it. Next, I want to talk about the figures real fast. I just think that they're not good at all. The arms are on like a very, very limited swivel, kind of, and the hands move, but you can't do anything with the elbows, really. And I mean, it's cool. It's got a holster. It's got his gun, which his gun looks pretty good, and he'll hold his gun okay. But I just think that this is just a terrible little. It should have had better articulation in the arms. I mean, I don't even really care about the legs, which they're not legs. They're just. This thing is terrible. But let's compare it to, well, what you got for like $6 back in the day, in like 2002 or 4 or whatever. This thing here with all kinds of great articulation, and he's got holster too, blows this thing away. So I mean, it's just a pack in. I didn't really get the Sandcrawler for this guy. I didn't care. This is what was in the 90s, and it still looks better. And his arms just make more sense. They move and make more sense. This guy, these arms make no sense on this guy. Doesn't make any sense. These arms make some sense. And then there's like a taller one. It's like a that came with this guy. Next, I want to talk about this Gonk droid. I don't have a whole lot of Gonk droids because I just don't really care about it so much. But the top comes off of that one, and that's pretty cool. I mean, I've got several vintage ones, and just I kind of like to display my vintage stuff. So this, I guess, looks a little bit more screen accurate, and for all of these different ones. Hasbro had the little walking gimmick, which actually made it not stand very well. So I guess the non-walking gimmick one is a little bit better. I think they one-for-one copied this from a different version that I don't have, and they put a hole in the top. So anyway, the Gonk droid's okay. The Jawa's not so great. So last thing I want to really talk about the packaging. Then I'll give you a recommend whether I say you should get it or not. But I think this is more of a collector focus kind of vehicle, and I think that with a collector focus like this, literally the packaging is fine if it wasn't blue. If they would have made it black, and every single thing was exactly the same, except where it's blue, it's black, and even in the fadings where it's darker blue, fading down to lighter blue, and all that stuff, if they would have had it black, this would have been perfect, packaging-wise. I don't really care that it's got an open bubble so you can see it and try it and all that stuff. I really don't care about those things myself personally as a collector, but I think that when you're at the parks and you just see this, it's like oh my gosh, I'm here at Disney World or Disneyland, wherever they're selling these things, and for $100, this thing's cool. Let's just go and take it home. I got me a souvenir. Hey, that's why it's packaged like this. There's really no need for it to be packaged like this other than that. But if they repackage it in like a vintage collection kind of box, I mean, that would be amazing. But this is truly, in my opinion, a really good one. So, like, subscribe. I recommend this. Tell your hanger out.